Okay, just a second. Let me look at this post. This is the post that we were looking at the beginning, and then somehow I got fucking derailed. All right, you gonna read it?
Yeah. Where'd you stop?
We can just start it. We can just start again. I mean, it's
Jesus Christ, 27 guilds.
that's a lot of guilds.
That's the most gilded thing I've ever seen on Reddit ever, of any post ever.
Really? Okay. All right, we'll start.
Where?
Just at the beginning.
You want me to reread it? Okay.
So I only went 2 paragraphs in.
I've noticed a lot of criticism about BFA in particular, and Warcraft as a game in general over the years, hinges on the concept of choices, meaningful or otherwise, and whether the player base has them or wants them. And I think a huge chunk of time, when people are talking about choice, what they really mean is agency. So I thought it might be helpful to talk a little about the difference. To start with these simple definitions, choice, in this context anyway, is when we have 2 or more options that are A, meaningfully different, B, mutually exclusive, and C, basically equal in value once all their pros and cons have been accounted for. For example, do I want to level in Eastern Kingdoms or Kalimdor is a choice.
Yep.
You can't do both at once. You get a different story in the different zones, but in the end, neither is objectively better or worse than the other.
Okay, I'll read the rest of them. I'll read the rest.
I got it. No, go ahead.
Most of the time in WoW, though, we're talking about mechanics. So here's a mechanical example of choice. When Unholy DKs select talents for AoE, they can choose between Unholy Blight or Bursting Spores, which share a row. Bursting Spores deals higher potential damage, but requires getting your first diseases on the whole pack and then bursting on the whole pack. So its practical damage drops down to nearly 0 if you don't use it right. Unholy Blight does a little bit less damage, but all you have to do to make it work to its 100% potential is just push it on cooldown. Which means that for many players who don't have the skill or patience to set up spores, was it sores or spores?
You want me to just take over, dude?
Yeah.
I mean, they're question marking you. They don't want to hear you. Okay. Let me start over. Most of the time in WoW, though, we're talking about mechanics. So here's a mechanical example of choice. When Unholy DK select talents for AoE, they can choose between Unholy Blight and Bursting Sores, which share a row. Bursting Sores deals higher potential damage, but it requires first getting your diseases on the whole pack and then bursting them on the whole pack, so its actual practical damage drops to near 0 if you don't use it right. Can I just say, who gives a fuck about DKs, man? Like,
Blizzard doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, nobody gives a shit about DKs. Unholy Blight does a little bit less damage, but all you have to do to make it work 100% potential is just push it on cooldown.
You fucked up. All right, now I get to do it. Which means that for many players who don't have the skill or patience to set up swords optimally, Blight will do better real-world damage. So you have a choice between essentially performance and ease of use. Blizzard really likes to do this type of trade-off, and for good reason. It's a simple way to make the difference through gameplay and offer an authentic choice to the player because they're both valuable things to most players. So that's the choice. What's agency? Agency is whenever a player can make a decision about what they want to see happen to their character, take a concrete action in game, and immediately see a tangible result from the action that matches their intent. For example, you want to see a different set of shoulders that matches your current transmog. You look at the transmog interface and see a pair that looks good to you, then that's a reward from a quest in Sholazar Basin. You travel back to Sholazar, start the quest chain, get the shoulders, and now your character looks the way that you wanted it to, and you feel good about yourself. This is agency, and it's the single most important thing in a video game. It's what makes games escapist. They give us the power to control things and to get predictable, desired outcomes in ways that we can't in real life. Wow.
I'm the scat man. That's you.
No, that's actually really true. And I want to read this again. This is agency, and it's the single most important thing in a video game. It's what makes games escapist. They give us the power to control things and to get predictable, desired outcomes in ways that we can't in real life.
It's true.
I haven't even read this whole post, but I'm going to say one thing right now, is that is probably the biggest line in this entire post. Yeah, right there. I completely agree. In RPGs especially, it's what keeps us playing a specific game. The more agency we have over our characters, the more we have invested in them, and the more likely we are to care about them and come back to them. So I think that's also very, very true. So basically he's saying that people aren't invested in their characters because they don't have agency to control the character's outcome. And because of that, players don't really care anymore. And here's the thing, the key thing. Agency can be a mechanical concept too. Consider a player back in Wrath of the Lich King. Instead of making your character more attractive, let's start with wanting to make your character more effective. Wow. Can you imagine that? Actually being able to control how good your character is? You look at Icy Veins to see what glyphs are good for you and what they're called. You seek out a scribe or look on the auction house and unlock a glyph and apply it to your character, and now your character is more effective. It's the same chain. Ultimately, it doesn't matter if everyone is using cookie cutter builds that they pulled off the internet. That doesn't matter if you've got the exact same glyphs as the guy next to you. What matters is that the game allowed you to take a concrete action towards a desired result. That you're closer to the goal that you have set for yourself because something that you personally did. Glyphs are a good example. Glyphs are a particularly good example, but this has always been in the game to some degree or another. Even spending a point for 1% crit in a vanilla talent tree was way more was a way of exerting direct control over your character, over the way your character developed, and at endgame, we invented our own forms of agency in the forms of things like DKP, which lets us see tangible progress due to our own actions towards the drop that we wanted, despite the widely slow pace of actual loot. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, that's true.
Go.
Go what?
We'll read the rest of it.
Oh, where'd you stop at?
Now the choices are a great thing, actually.
Now, choices are a great thing, obviously. They increase the chance that any given player will find something to enjoy, and of course, any good choice automatically provides agency. And much of the strength of WoW is that it has a wide variety of good choices already. Role, class, specialization, racials, group sizes, and game modes, at least 1 or 2 talent rows per spec. The way that more interesting legendaries open up different playstyles is part of why Legion was so enjoyable.
I think that's true. It's absolutely true.
But
Just because
there was always 2 good.
No,
there
but
were 2 best legendaries.
That's not even really true though, because you would use different legendaries for different situations. Like you had
Like
Mythic
what?
Plus legendaries, you had Soul Wing legendaries, you had Agrimar's Stride, for example. That's a very good example. There are plenty of different ways that legendaries did change your gameplay in very different ways.
Agree to disagree. I didn't find that, like, for Red Pally, it was like Cloak and Belt, the whole expansion. Like, it was very boring.
Okay, well, I thought the legendaries were interesting for at least my class.
No, they suck, dude.
Okay.
Making azerite traits that offer real interesting choices would certainly make it feel less awful. All right, you go to the next one.
I feel like I'm back in English class.
Yeah, it's popcorn reading. We're doing popcorn.
But even without those interactions, even when it's just non-decisions like simple gear upgrades or badly balanced traits that provide only the illusion of choice, the game still thrives as long as it has agency. Unlike choice, agency is mandatory. Agency is what makes players feel powerful and rewarded by the game. When you Thunder Focus T into Enveloping Mist and spike the tank back to full health in a Siege +8, you're not bored because Enveloping Mist versus Essence Font is a cookie cutter non-choice that everyone uses in single target. You're engaged because you wanted to heal the tank and you did the thing that heals the tank and the tank was healed. Imagine a game with no choices at all in the same way that you build and manipulate your character, just 2 buttons that never change and a world to interact with. Can it still be good? Well, that describes Super Mario, one of the most fun and popular games in the history of the medium, so I'm going to say yes. Now imagine a game where you have a dozen different buttons that do different things, but at any given button has a 30% chance of not doing anything. Still fun? Only if you like gambling, because that's just a slot machine. And it has its audience for sure, but it's damn well not a video game. Most fun games have some aspect of chance, but it's agency that makes it a game, and the game is what the audience is here for. I think that's true.
I completely agree. Like, the whole post is true. Like, it's spot on. There's a reason it has guilds.
Yes.
Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
And agency is what we've been losing steadily with each expansion. Legendaries were a terrible system before they were targetable, and the only reason people talk fondly about them now is that azerite is even worse. Oh, shit.
Fuck him, dude.
He's calling you out, dude.
Yeah.
Calling you out directly already. Okay. Where was I?
Making it completely impossible.
Making it completely impossible to make a concrete effort with tangible reward along the one single flagship form of mechanical improvement this expansion offers. Personal loot has cut off one of our major sources of agency too, and reducing reroll coins to 2 from 3 is just one less chance to do something in a specimen, specific targeted way. Even when we talk about things
That's very true, dude.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Wow. Go.
Sorry, I love chat, dude. Even when we talk about things like holiday transmog restrictions, or ability pruning, or weapon restrictions, or rep restrictions, or the GCD change, the issues come down to control of our characters being taken away. That's 100%, dude.
Yes.
More time standing around doing nothing. Less ability to combine things in ways that interest us. Less power to decide what our character looks like and does. More things that we work for with a specific intention being made abruptly inaccessible because of changes to the game that we have no way to anticipate or influence.
That's very, very true. When people say, oh shit. When people say they miss glyphs, talent trees, or grinding for low drop rate but still fixed stat gear, it's not that they don't understand that the improved revived pet was as lame compared to Focus Fire and Pack Alpha as it is to Primal Instincts. It's that they had the ability to decide which of the first two their character would use. TLDR, giving us no feedback about or no control over our progress towards the game's primary goals, makes the game pointless to play. Letting us feel like our decisions are the primary force in what happens to our characters makes the game fun and addictive. Tilting the balance of the game from the latter towards the former tilts the player right along with it.
Okay. Start clapping.
There it is.
Yep.
Let me read this first comment, because I think this is a real-world example. This is absolutely the #1 issue behind most complaints this expansion. Here's a real-world example of the OP's point. People used to be really pissed off at the waiting times for the subway, so how is the issue fixed? Did they invent a better, faster way to do trains and logistics? Fuck no. They put up those electronic billboard things that'll tell you exactly whenever the train you're waiting for is coming. Known quantities are less frustrating than unknown quantities, even if they are objectively the same. This is why the suggestion from weeks ago about how to solve the Mythic Plus cash problem was so fucking genius. Give people a random draw of 3 items to choose from. It's still an RNG mechanic, but players have agency again, which makes the RNG so much more bearable. Wow.
God
Yeah,
damn.
talk about that. I take a piss. I'll be back.
So guys, I think we can all agree that, this puzzle is wrong. Yeah, the post is true. Nasty? What do you mean nasty? When he comes back, ask him if he washed his hands. Is he crawling? No, he's here.
Okay. You back?
Yep.
Okay. What are they saying?
Did you wash your hands? They're saying.
For what, dude? I got a clean dick. I don't need to wash my hands. I could eat a sandwich off my dick and I wouldn't even get sick.
Ew.
Yeah, I'm serious, dude. Like, what can I say, man? Don't worry about it. So, I don't know. I think this post is great. I really do. I think that everything about it makes perfect sense. There's nothing wrong with it at all. And I completely agree. All right. So let me see if there's anything else that's like really worth looking at here. Is there anything else that we need to talk about regarding this? Let me see here. Yes, and this is the worst part about Lore's argument. Players are frustrated with the lack of choice and agency when targeting gear and traits. Players are also frustrated in the excessive amount of options with no real choice involved. Lore basically laughed at them for wanting both, treating them like mutual exclusives, and he also suggested the solution for lack of agency in acquiring gear is to make it where the choice is meaningless. Yeah. That is very, very true. Read the top post. I did. Just a second. Let me make sure that I look here. Yeah. I did read the top post. Let me go ahead and open it up again. Is there anything else? Yeah. This is... Wait, has 980 comments? Holy shit. God damn.
Jeez.
People are popping off. I'm glad someone gave you a gold. A+, sir. This is everything wrong with modern WoW. The game is a casino with small dopamine hits. Bro, I was saying this like 3 years ago, man. They're waking up, dude. They are breaking the conditioning. They are realizing it, dude.
Sort by controversial, so we can have something to talk about.
Oh.
Gamers, rise up.
That's right, dude. That's right. Okay, let's see. Interesting post. Okay. So let me read this one. How do you reconcile this with seemingly everyone hating or being indifferent to the AP grind? Aren't world quests and island expeditions concrete ways to enhance your character that have a direct and consistent result, yet people still aren't flocking to them in droves because they're boring and grinding for sheet DPS increases don't affect gameplay isn't fun? I think it's pretty obvious about how the AP system plays out as a whole, and people need a more straight line, do this to improve path to enjoy a mechanic. So what do you think about that?
I mean, world quests do suck. They're boring.
They suck, dude. Like, alright, let's look at some of the world quests. What can I go do right now for a world quest? You guys can still see it, right? Yeah, okay, good. So what about this one here? I have to go kill 16 mobs. I have to go all the way down here and kill this guy. I'm not gonna go kill him. He's too far away. They take too long. Like, the world quests in Legion, you would go to the zone, you would kill all the mobs in one AoE pull, and it would be over. That was it. And now, you have to sit around and fucking wait, and you have to kill these fucking pigs. This Drusfar quest, you know what the quest is.
Again with the pigs.
The pigs, dude. And you kill a pig, and it gives you 2%. And you know how many percentage you need? 100. And you kill the big pig, you know how much the big pig gives you? It gives you like 15. 15%, man.
How many times are you gonna bring the pigs up, man?
Every fucking time that I have to waste my goddamn time doing it. I hate the pigs.
Well, here's the thing. You have the agency.
If they doubled it, it would be too slow.
Listen, you have the agency to not do it, man.
I don't.
You don't have to.
Yeah, I don't. That's the whole point.
For?
So the azerite system, so people being indifferent to the azerite system. So here's why the azerite system, this is actually completely wrong. So what he's saying is that this is a difference between choice and agency. Now, the azerite grind is going to happen. It's happening on its own. The player has no agency in controlling the azerite grind because the azerite grind will be artificially inflated based off of whenever you do it because of the systems that are put in place in order to make it to where people don't get too far behind or too far ahead. So there's actually no choice at all involved with the azerite grind in a way that there kind of was with the artifact power grind before Concordance because you had a solid goal that you could work towards directly. So this is completely wrong, and that's the difference, right? Is there is actually no agency or no choice with this at all because Blizzard is basically putting you on a roller coaster and saying, "Here you go." That's it. Let's see the next one. Oh, this is interesting. All right, let's see what they say. This post is getting lapped up, but this weird separation of agency and choice is borderline false dichotomy. Agency just means action. Choice is whenever you have multiple courses of action. Well, the original post already defined which each of these terms mean. So if you're redefining what this person is saying and what these words mean in their original post, you have to use the definitions that the original post is using. You're not addressing the post, you're addressing what you think the words mean. You're stating these actions, there aren't actions to take, which is absurd. The issue is that agency has dwindled and that they're the same silly actions we've done for the rewards, and the rewards for doing them are horrible, and the player base is actively punished for making these choices. Reforging equals making choices equals unsustainable. Wait, what?
The hell?
What the fuck?
What the fuck is up?
He's trying to argue semantics? Well, he is arguing semantics. And the problem with arguing semantics is whenever the terms are already predefined, and then you're arguing the same words, but you're redefining them, even though the terms were originally defined in the initial argument, you're just talking about two different things. So you can't say that this is a false dichotomy if you're looking at a different definition. I mean, come on. So let me read. This is what the actual blue post said about reforging. As the point about reforging costs, These costs get so high because we want the behavior you're describing. Oh, reforging. Oh, I thought you meant the original reforging. Excuse me. Okay, making choices equals unsustainable. PvP being an RNG fest for gear equals garbage. Azerite trades, if anything, there is an action overload that is being decimated by Blizzard's prohibitive systems. 100% of OP's post is remedied by making vendor tokens. This is just legendary bitching for the new expansion. Not unwarranted, but the sky is also not falling. Okay.
Found Lore's alt account.
So let's talk about what's wrong with this. 100% of OP's post is remedied by making vendor tokens. Now, that only works in the context of gear upgrades for your character. That doesn't work in the context of glyphs, talents, the legendary effects being made into talents and affecting your character, and the azerite armor and the effects that the azerite armor has. This is just legendary bitching for the new expansion. If you ever see here's one thing that I'll give you guys, okay? This is something that you need to know and something you need to realize, is that whenever somebody refers to a complaint that someone else has as bitching, the chances are that the person is trying to compartmentalize and invalidate that person's criticism. Okay? Every single time. If anybody ever refers to something as bitching, it's always the same thing, dude. Every single fucking time. Mute the music if someone wants to see it. Well, I'm not going to mute the music. Okay. Yeah, I like having the music on. Okay, actually, I'm going to turn it up a little bit. There we go. Okay, good. Let's see. Everything else about this, I think, does make complete fucking sense. I agree with it at all. Okay. Can you turn... Yeah, this is fine. But yeah, that's basically how I feel. I mean, I'm sorry to say, but like, there it is. Oh, is people crying? Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just kind of ridiculous to me. He's right. Yeah, it's aging.